When you became a teacher, you probably never thought to yourself that grading was going to bog you down. But let's do some math here. For me, I have 5 classes, 30 kids in each class. That's 150 students I have every day. If every one of them does an assignment, that's 150 students that I have to grade their work. And so they do work every day, 150 students. Let's say it takes, I don't know, an hour to, no, let's say it takes 1 minute to grade each assignment. Do the math. That's about 2.5 hours a day I'm doing grading. That is unrealistic. That's not sustainable. That will hold you down, hold you back from becoming the teacher you need to become. So how do you deal with the grading? How do you handle all that? Well, I'm going to give you some little tips here that I do in my class that make the grading a whole lot easier. Instead of being 2.5 hours a day, maybe boils down to about 30 minutes a day the most. So here's some little tidbits here. First thing is this: do not grade everything. Don't grade everything. Now it's kind of hard, right? In my class, I have this, I tell my students, and I hold to this all year long, everything counts as points. You're not going to do any work in this class that you're not going to get credit for. But with that said, you don't have to grade everything. You can give credit, no credit. And so there's many different ways of doing this. It could be that maybe as students are working, you go by with the stamp. It could be that you make a note on your seating chart or some other way of that. But if you're just able to grade on a quick little observation, either a yes or no, that will greatly reduce your time. Now, the fact that you're still giving credit or no credit is the accountability part. And what you're going to find out as you're teaching here, accountability is huge. And so if students know they're keeping a track of their grading, keeping track of their work or not working, that may be enough to motivate a student to do well on an assignment. So first thing, don't grade everything. That's going to eliminate everything. Instead, you try credit, no credit. When it comes to testing, if you can find a testing program that grades the test itself, that's a time saver for you. And there's got to be something out there that you can use, especially with all our new technology, AI, and everything else. For me, I'm kind of more old-fashioned here. I use a Google Classroom. So Google Forms is what I use for our test. And so students will take the test on their Chromebooks. At the end, boom, it's all graded already. So then all I have to do is take that grade and put it into the computer. So find some automated system to help you with the grading. Whatever that might be. But that's going to give you a lot of your time back. And here's the one I use the most is I have students do their own grading. And they also have another students that verify the grade, which I'll tell you how I do this in a second. But have students grade their own paper. Think about this. All right. Once again, instead of me spending all this time, they do it themselves. So here's how I do it in my classroom. In my classroom, and I let my students know this, and we actually practice this quite a bit, is that on average, a student can earn about 20 points a day in the class. All right. So now this is how it looks more often than not. Let's say we're doing notes. And the notes, and we go over this from day one. We're doing notes in the class. And when we're done with the notes, I'll tell students, count your points for your notes. They basically give themselves like 1 point per note and 1 point for this, 1 point for this. But then they add up all the points they earned for those notes. Now here's why this is so powerful. One is because they do their own grading. It saves me a lot of time. But the other is students know right then, they get feedback right then and there how they did for that day. And then I'll post a grade up there. All right, if you earn 20 grades, you earn an A, and so forth. And so students get the automatic feedback, and they feel rewarded for the work they put into that day. Plus, students already graded their work. I don't have to recount all their points. Now, just to make sure, that everything's on the up and up, what I'll probably do is I'll take all that work from that period, 30 kids, 30 grades, and then the next period, I'll have one of my students next period recount the points. So maybe instead of them doing the work, always have to be a good student. Students ahead of the game so that way they're not losing anything. They'll maybe recount the points just to make sure everything is right. And I can tell you, been doing this for several years now, kids are pretty honest. I really haven't found any kid that has purposely misgraded their work. And so, but just to make sure, so another kid in the next class will grade the previous class work, and now I have not only the kid's original points they counted, the other kid regraded it, and now all I got to do is take that work and put the numbers into the computer. So if I figure if I got 30 kids times 5, that's 150 kids, I could probably put all the grades in the computer probably in about 15 minutes, half an hour the most, and then I'm right on top of my grading. By freeing up all this time on these other kind of assignments, it allows me more time to really one-on-one grade the things that I need to give the most attention to. For example, if we're working on essays, I might focus specifically on one part of the essay. So it might require me to read. And so I can't give that to a student to do. But by freeing up all the other stuff, I have more time I could devote now to really developing those skills that I need my kids to grow in. And so it's all about time management. So don't necessarily grade everything. Have students do their own grading. Maybe have students grade other students' work for you. And then that way you can have the time to really focus on what you need to focus on.